T. So to see something as real, the only thing that is required is the Namarupa plus reality, plus Satness in that. The Satness has nothing to do with the object because it is not dependent on it. See, the isness is not dependent on object, right? We can say, as a, for our understanding, we can say, oh, you know what? Just like the shape is, let's take an example of a flower that is easier to understand. So we say that there is a flower, and in that flower, there is blue, say it's a red rose, so there is a redness of that flower. The softness is there, the size is there, whatever else, and the fragrance is there. So there is a isness for each of these things, right? But the flower has a existence dependent, or we can say, is the isness part of flower? The existence, is it part of flower?
No, it can't be, because the flower doesn't really exist. It only appears to exist. So the appearing aspect is what you're saying is the isness. But actually, I have a question for you there. Are you talking about isness in terms of the original Chaitanya Shakti, the existence, or it is slightly the next level of manifestation, like Vyakt is still not any particular object, but it is a capacity to appear for anything?
Correct. Even Asat also takes the asara, or it is also depend on Sat for its existence. The
Yes.
Asat also needs Sat for its existence. So that's what it means, that though it is Asat, but it appears Sat because of the Satness is supporting it.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Because
without that, because Sat is the only thing. Without that, you can even see anything. Nothing can appear. Nothing can disappear. Nothing.
You can only lean on Sat.
Only lean on Sat. So even the Asat leans on Sat for its presence.
Yeah, that makes sense. That means everything.
Anjana ji, let me explain it. This is called Karya Karan Vishleshan. So isness is not dependent on flower. Isness is independent. The flower needs isness for its appearance.
So isness is Satya then? Sat?
Yes. So isness is the Sat part. इसको बोलते हैं सत बुद्धि. So हमारे में दो बुद्धि है, the Sat buddhi and Asat buddhi.
Right.
But because of it happens together and the locus is in the same place, so we get confused between Asat buddhi and Sat buddhi, and we think it is part of the same thing. See this. ये सोचो, ये 5000 साल पहले लिखा था भगवान ने. What kind of analysis they must have gone through to understand this. And then Shankaracharya ji is trying to explain it to us in a simpler way, that this Sat Buddhi and Asat Buddhi are happening together. That is why we say this flower is real. There is Satness of this flower. The flower is real. Because we have forgotten to separate the Asat Buddhi and Sat Buddhi. उसी को विवेक कहते हैं, उसी को विचार करना कहते हैं. This is what we have to. So every experience has the Sat experience and a Asat experience, but they are happening in the same locus, at the same space, at the same point. So we superimpose the Asatness onto the Satness. We superimpose the reality of that object. See, जैसे pot की reality, we have assumed that it is real, right? It is Not that it is not real or real. Point is that we have given it reality in our mind.
And
हमने
Rajiv,
सत और असत बुद्धि को जोड़ दिया है.
does it require always Nam Rupa, or even without Nam Rupa you can ascribe the Asat?
Without Nama Rupa also. Without Nama Rupa also. The point is that when we are talking about anything that is going through any modification or that has any guna is asat. That is what we have to understand. Or that is anitya. That part, sometimes asat becomes a problematic for us because we don't want to, we think asat means illusory. No, we are not talking about illusory. We are talking about their existence is a dependent existence.
No, very true, very true. Because
Ultimately, only Satya exists or Atma exists.
Sorry, what is it?
Ultimately, only Satya exists.
Satya is existence. That by definition, Sat is existence. So there is, but all these things that appear to be existing is depending on that Sat only.
Yeah.
Is it making sense? Repeat.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes.
That means if we can see the satness and asatness in each thing, that means it is a sat buddhi. It is a discriminating buddhi. And if we see that only the appearance, then it is a sat buddhi.
We give so much importance to the changing thing. We don't give importance to the sat, because sat we are taking it for granted. Okay.
I mean, when we understand the difference between the two things, that means we are using the sat buddhi.
Yes, this is what is called tattva darshibhihi. That is the word that Bhagwan has used in this shloka,
Right. But we are in the transactional world most of the time, so we have to use our asat buddhi for the transaction.
Which is fine. Bhagwan says that is not a problem. Problem is to know the difference between that there is a sat buddhi and a sat buddhi. We actually have dropped the idea. We are giving the existence as a property of that asat buddhi. That flower is, we think isness is a property of that flower. Bhagwan is saying, no. That is the sat buddhi. The sat buddhi has come in contact with an object which is anitya and giving it reality.
Or if we look at it from that point of view, then nothing is sat. Well, there's only one sat. So all this is just fabrication.
Okay, this is, Bhagwan has taken us to the highest level of knowledge now. So Bhagwan is going to come down to our level eventually, in a couple of shlokas. But point here is, he wants to make Arjun understand that what you are grieving about is not worth grieving, because you are not using your the Vivek Buddhi. You are not a Tattvadarshi right now, because you are seeing only the changing stuff as real. You are giving reality to that is Anitya, which is the Drona and Bhishma, which are basically Anitya in this current form. He is not thinking about the Atma. He is not thinking about that they were always there, they will always be there. He is only seeing this form and he is attached to that form. His whole breakdown happens because he is attached to Nama Rupa, which is Anitya. Okay.
So while he's pointing out the Sat aspect of Anitya, he's also, as you were saying earlier, it's not a negative kind of shunyata,
No.
because there is appearance.
Yeah.
The Sharir and Dronacharya, they were all there. At the same time, it's a certain way of appearing. To actually, I like the word discernment in a certain, maybe it means Vivek, but Buddhi, intellect sometimes confuses me because that makes me think like it's about thinking. But actually, it's a kind of discernment. No? Buddhi is like a nishchayatmak discernment.
Just right now, let's not go into that definition, because Bhagwan is saying Buddhi is also two. Sat Buddhi and Asat Buddhi. The one that recognizes the difference between the Sat and Asat is Sat Buddhi. Asat Buddhi is which is giving reality to the Nama Rupa.
Okay.
So Nama Rupa ko reality dena is the Asat Buddhi ka kaam.
Got it.
That part is clear. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
So, and it happens together. So that is why the problem comes, because it is happening at the same time. So we think the existence is also a property, but existence is not a property. Existence is property of the one who is seeing it. He is giving it a reality. The isness is dependent on the seer. Okay. All right. So now the student has a shanka, he says, okay, you know what? The pot has a color, right? Brown. So the brownness is there, the clay is there, and both are asat, right? Brownness, the shape and everything. If the pot will, once we understand that this is asat, then we can replace anything with that what we have understood. So whether it is pot or a body or any situation, any item, any emotion, any thought, any experience, they all belong to the same category. This was only for so if I say, I am young, I am officer, I am father, I am wife, I am a child, I am whatever this objectification we do of this body, there is only one thing that is common in that, which is I am, right? I am is giving reality to, if I existence is there, only then the officer, the father, the bridge, the Namarupa, the uncle, the enemy, whatever else, is all dependent on the I-ness. So in this one, the I is the existence. Is that making sense? Is it?
And it's interesting. The existence has the dynamic property of not being anything specific. It can be anything. Yeah.
It can be anything, right? I is independent of anything. Kalko Bridge takes up Christianity, and he is now called, John. so that bridge is gone, and John has now taken its place. Now John is no different than bridge. I-ness is what is being superimposed on that, whatever it is. If I have a job today and no job tomorrow, then the one who has a job and one who doesn't have a job has given the existence because of the I. So we have to keep the two things separate. That is called Sat Buddhi. That understand what is real and what is constantly changing. I am real, but everything that I have superimposed on it, the body has come and gone. See, that's what he says, Kaumaram Yovanam Tatha Dehantarah Prapti. So that means this change is happening to I, that I will continue even before the Deha was there and after the Deha is gone. this is very important part to understand, because this is the substratum of our whole Gita Gyan. If we understand this, then other things will come. This is, Bhagavan has taken Arjuna to the highest level right now. This is where Bhagavan is trying to explain to him what is Sat and what is not Sat. What you are running after is Asat. Naam Roop ke piche bhag raha hai tu, you know, and that is, you understand what is the truth. Truth is not changing. They were there before, truth was there now, truth will be there afterwards. Truth is never changing. So that part we have to understand. So I is there in every experience, in every thought that we have. You understand that? Every relationship is depending on that I only. I or my, whatever, you know. So, okay. Any questions? Do you guys want to take a break and think about it? Or is it something that we need to digest? Because this is a lot of information, and we'll continue this till it is fully understood. Abhi tak, is it all making sense? Anybody who wants to give their point of view of this? Because this is quite deep, you know, this is the basis of our whole Advaita philosophy.
But Rajiv, this
Understand
I is actually, it's very strange because language is sometimes limiting. On the one hand, it is the unchanging. At the same time, it is a source of everything. Matlab, without it, nothing is possible. Isn't it? Matlab,
without it, without ka to koi chakkar hi nahi hai yahan pe.
That's what
There
I
is
mean.
no without.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything
I mean,
we can say without is possible. You know, I can be without the wife or a children or house or job or anything else. I will still be there. I was there before and I will be there after. These things have come and gone. So many things have come and gone in our lives, you know. It is not like anything is there for permanence.
and as Jyoti was saying before, if you can see the unchanging in everything that's changing, that's, you know, because you know, since it doesn't start, stop, or anything, it's never absent, it's part of everything. And not only just part of everything, is whatever appears only because of this thing, or only possible or dependent on this, you know. I think of more like Chaitanya Shakti, but you also use the word existence, you know.
Let's stick to existence only.
Okay.
Chaitanyata we'll bring separately. Chaitanyata has a different
Okay.
You know,
Sure. Yeah.
We'll go through that also. Bhagwan will bring it up. We don't have to do anything. Bhagwan is going to bring all these points very, very clearly. Right now, he's focused only on the Sat aspect of things.
Okay.
Now, Sato, he's defining what is Sat and what is not Sat.
So I think the language is the bigger barrier also, and also a solution many times, I think, because we day-to-day interactions, we use language. For thinking, we use language. For this understanding, we use language. So we are using ease in our everyday transaction.
Absolutely.
And so I'm thinking, like, you know, they have always said that, oh, you projected your imagination into this situation, is a very commonly said term.
Mm-hmm.
But now we are saying that we are giving the isness to all this.
Yes.
That is
we give reality.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which we need to give in transactional world. So
Yeah.
constant in the back of our mind, especially when there is suffering, we need to say, hey, this is unreal. It's just, which is hard.
No. See, problem is harsh and soft is also what we have created. Everything is something, you know, we have learned through our sansaric transactions, right? Somebody told us, you know, you shouldn't say this. The other person will get hurt. But that is something that is a learned behavior, right? There is no absoluteness of that. Sometimes harsh, Bhagwan is very harsh here, for Arjun. He is actually breaking every thought that Arjun had. जो पूरा फर्स्ट चैप्टर उन्होंने बता दिया कि कैसे धर्म का नाश हो रहा है, कैसे the whole thing will get destroyed if we get involved in war. So he's basically trying to back out of this war because he sees only negativities in that war. The one thing that he has not seen yet, and that Bhagwan will bring up in in few more verses, is about the dharma itself. That he has not talked about. He has talked about the jati dharma, varna dharma, all these things, how things will get convoluted if this happens, but he's not seeing his own duty. He's not seeing his dharma, his swadharma. He's missing on that. He's seeing everybody else's dharma. कि औरतों का क्या होगा, how will the women behave if things get like that? But he's not seeing what is his dharma, what is his dharma at this point. But which is, dharma is a very different story right now. Bhagwan is actually talking about that what you are worrying about is not worth worrying about, because you are worrying about asat. You are worrying about anitya. That is constantly changing. So now Bhagwan is defining what is sat and what is asat in this verse. Right now, just understand that Bhagwan is right now in the teaching the highest knowledge to Arjuna. These verses are the core of our philosophy. If somebody says, one verse that this is the verse, Sat and Asat, this is where the Vivek Buddhi will come. This is where we will understand, what to focus on, how we should analyze any situation in our life.
So if Drona and Bhishma are Asat, then war is also Asat, and then now aren't these duties now become Sat? Is it that we are going to fight?
No, he's not saying duty is Asat or these people are Asat. That's not what he's pointing out at this point. He's pointing out that the way Arjuna is thinking, he says, correct your thinking. Your thinking has a problem, not the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
See, हमारे अंदर हमारी problems कहाँ होती है? We are what is called paristhitivadi. That means हमको लगता है situation is my problem. If I can get out of this situation, then I'll be a happy person. If this situation is gone, then I will be okay. So this is paristhiti. This is the baseline thinking. Bhagwan says, forget about this thinking. Parasthiti will come and go. Parasthiti is anitya. You are real, So if the things have to come, they will come. Do you think if these people, if you don't kill them, they will never die? ये तो अनित्य है ही है. ये आज नहीं मरेंगे तो कल मर जाएंगे. They are going to die. उनकी उसको जिसको तुम नित्य समझ रहे हो कि मैं उनको नहीं मारूंगा तो वो शायद कभी मरेंगे ही नहीं. He is going to be that cause. Anyways, I think this one has a lot to think about. We have not done any breakout sessions. So next week, if you can just kind of give some thought to this one, we can do a breakout session on that, so that this, because Shekhar ji can probably vouch for it, and our Amrit ji, who had been we have been part of satsang group debate, done a lot of such text. but it takes a long time to understand it. So if it is something that you think, okay, you know what, it makes sense right now, but when I go in the real world, people always say that when I go back in the real world, situations are different. Yeah, satsang mein to kuch bhi keh lo aap. But the point is ki this is what we have to take to the real world. This is what the power is. This is what gives us the right thinking. So that is why Gita is so beautiful, because it is meant for people at war, internal war, constantly.
So Rajiv, one thing is that I think that was very subtle what you said today. It's not only about the vivek of nitya and anitya, but their inseparability in a certain way. Because,
Yeah,
right? Because
exactly.
someone can say, हाँ मुझे पता लग गया कि नित्य क्या है नित्य. It's not like that, because you have to see the inseparability also, कि how the nitya is very imminently. It couldn't be any more intimate than
I know.
anitya.
Because they are happening at the same locus, right?
Hmm.
The existence is happening for that object in that same spot, right? Isness is happening. जब हम कहते हैं कि I am a dad, or I am a mom, or I am this, or I am that, I am Hindu, I am not Hindu. All these things are happening. We are giving it so much reality to it. Are they real? Let's think about it. How real are they? We are the ones who are giving it reality, which is fine. I'm not saying there is any problem. If that is, see, we have to live through life, right? It is not like we have become sannyasis and we are going to just meditate on this sat aspect. We are here to deal with both. Point here is not to separate ourselves out and think of them as unreal and do nothing about it. Bhagwan says, लड़ उसके बाद सब पढ़ाने के बाद go and fight, युद्ध करो. So युद्ध किससे करो और कौन कर रहा है? We have to understand that also. But right now, the point here is, this is tools for us to live a happy life. See, that's why it is a life manual, Bhagavad Gita. It is giving us the tools to understand what life is and how to live our life.
You're right. That one's very practical. Yeah.
And we will go through many such iterations. So, abhi, if lag raha hai ki ye thoda bahut difficult hai, it is going to get easier as we go. You will see that it's going to be more enjoyable. All right, let's conclude unless somebody has a question.
I'll wait till you conclude, Rajiv ji.
Okay, all right. I'll just conclude. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Right. Let me stop the recording. Sorry. My mouse is not working. Yeah.